Oh, what you doing? Oh, later.
Okay, so if you guys watch the channel, you know from the last video that I recently had our third child. I didn't have him, obviously my wife did. Our family had our third child, Judson, third and last. Been a blast the last 2 weeks. I've been out of the shop, just having fun with the family. It's been absolutely amazing. There's been a lot of this. There's been a little bit of this. A lot of playing and enjoying time with the kids. And I gotta say, it's been a lot of fun just to be out of the shop, but I am excited to get back into the shop. I haven't been in here in a couple weeks. And one of the biggest reasons I'm excited is because of this right here. A brand new AC and heating unit from Mr. Cool. Now, if you live in Texas or in the South for that matter, you know how hot the summers get. It's brutal. It's not even really summer yet and it's 95 out. So it is already hot. It wears you out. You lose like 10 pounds every summer. So I am so pumped to be going back into my shop. Right now it is 76 degrees in there. It is dry. It's like 60%, 55% humidity. It feels beautiful. So what I want to do is, for one, I want to say thanks to Mr. Cool because this thing works incredibly well, but I want to take you guys through the install process real quick. Another exciting thing about this video is you're going to get to meet my dad, who retired at the end of the last year. Now, my dad is responsible for a lot of this woodworking that happens. He got me into it. So we're going to have a sit-down talk. You're going to learn more about me and my dad, and you're going to get to watch him help me pretty much install this and screw it all up and have to hire someone professionally to do it. But you know, I'm a furniture maker, not an AC guy. So let's get started on this. Okay, so we start this off by obviously setting a pad for the outdoor unit. We just put down some sand. We wanted to raise it up a little bit with cinder blocks because we get a lot of rain back here, and I didn't want it to wash out the foundation. Mr. Cool did supply this plastic base for it, which fit the unit perfect. So we just set that on top of the cinder blocks. And then my electrician, Daniel, who does all the wiring in my shop, was kind enough to help move this thing and get it in place. He was here wiring it up, getting the power to it for me. So once it was on the pad, we bolted it down, and that part was finished. So Mr. Cool supplies a template with each unit in your units, and it has a little spot here where you can mark out where you need to drill I think it's a 3 or 3.5 inch hole through your wall to run your lines through. It's a fairly simple thing to do. You just want to make sure you angle that hole down so that your drain is running downhill. So to try to make it look nice and clean on the outside and not have a bunch of lines running on the outside of the shop, I wanted to put a single hole and then run my refrigerant and compressor lines through there, come out the same. Copper lines do not run that easily. I bent them all up. I did a horrible job. So these units work best, and really the only way you should do it is if you run the line right out the back behind the unit on both of them and then route it on the back of the building. I'll go show you what that looks at right now. I've got an AC guy coming shortly to finish the install because this is Mr. Cool has several different systems. This is not a DIY system. I got a little bit bigger system because it's a bigger shop. It's gonna get bright now. Right there, there's a patch. We had a hole there. We were gonna run both lines out that single hole, drop down to limit the amount of crap going on the back of the building. But it is the back of the building and no one's gonna see it. So now we're just running it right out, down, right out and down. Lesson learned, if you're going to get this system, just run them right out behind the units. Don't try to route copper line everywhere. It doesn't work very well. So I circled back here real quick to show you guys what it looks like to hang the unit. There's just that metal plate. You can kind of see it on the wall, and it's almost like a French cleat. It just clips onto that plate. It actually works really well. It was a little tricky here because we were battling the dust collector was kind of in the way. So my dad's running the lines through that hole. And you just get the lines through and basically get it up on that cleat and it snaps right in place and it's ready to go. Way easier than trying to run lines at 90 degrees in that little wall cavity behind it and go out another hole. It's so much easier that way. Yep. I think it's hooked pretty good, yeah.
That's easy.
That was way easier.
Yeah.
Should have done that from the start. Okay, so I finally got someone out here to hook this up. They're in the process right now of doing it. They ran to go get some conduit for the electrical, which comes out here and here on each unit, runs into here. We wanted to make sure that was in conduit because the UV light can break that wire down. I don't think it was UV rated, but everything is pretty much there. They've tested it all, it's sealed well, and they've got all the connections made. All I've got to do is come and pop those covers on, and pretty soon we'll be pumping cold air into this shop, which I'm super pumped about. So with all the lines outside the shop now, Mr. Cool did provide a plastic channel cover for everything. So basically here I'm just drilling a hole in this 90-degree elbow for my drain to go through. And then you just basically screw on these base plates and then snap on the covers. It's really pretty simple process. And then the very end of the line, there is a little termination spot where it kind of channels, it kind of tapers in and has a fairly clean look. I'd like to paint these. I don't really know how to paint them. I actually tried to spray paint them, but the paint didn't stick to the plastic. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but I think it would look better if I could paint it to match the exterior wall. So if anybody has any thoughts on how to paint plastic, please shoot that in the comments to me. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with how quiet this unit is. This is running right now. You have to walk around the corner of the shop to even hear it. You can't hear it in the shop. So to give you a quick comparison, this is my house unit. It is a 5-ton Carrier AC unit. It's a couple years old, and it is a lot louder than the other ones, so you can tell the difference right now. Okay, so that pretty much shuts it all down. I've got everything hooked up. It is running. I'm thoroughly enjoying this unit. It's a game changer for me in the shop. It keeps the work environment comfortable, keeps things more productive, which is awesome. I just want to say thank you to Mr. Cool for sending the unit. I would love for you guys to go down in the description, check them out. If you need to climate control your shop, these are the guys to do it. They make really good systems, and the DIY system is a really cool option. Okay, so with that done, I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce you to my dad. It's always cool for you guys to get to know a little bit more about me, where I came from, my background, and like I said earlier, my dad's a big part of why I do this. So this hopefully will be cool and informative and helpful for you guys. So let's do that now. So I guess I'll start by asking, well, you can tell them who you are, a little about you, and then you can tell them your first memory of us working together. I think we started when I was a teenager. So.
Yeah, when you were in high school is when we first started working on that. Yeah, my first name's Don, and I retired, as Andy said, in December from Baylor Scott & White in Temple, where I worked for about 27 years as a gastroenterologist. So this is a little bit different for me, working in the shop, and I think I've been a pretty good gopher so far. Not a whole lot of real complicated stuff I can do. But we got interested in woodworking probably back in the late 1990s. I'd had some interest in that for a while, and I finally decided that I needed to go ahead and explore that interest, or I might never get to it. So we bought a few tools, bought a table saw and a little joiner, and I'd already had a radial arm saw, that old table saw.
Uncle Ed's, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had that old, I had an old Craftsman.
Yeah.
This thing was about, got to be about 60 years old, and I'd gotten it from my brother, who's a pretty good woodworker. So we started off using that, and I ultimately bought a Delta Craftsman saw, contractor saw, which was really a pretty nice saw, but limited a little bit in what you could do with it. But that's what we had. So we built a workbench. That was our first project together, and I got the plans from that out of a little woodworking book.
That's actually the one behind us, right?
No, actually it's not.
Yeah. Well, this table, which was built as a workbench, this is it. I think.
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
That sure is.
You remember? Yeah. I think at one point you told me just to throw this thing away, but I couldn't do it because I do remember this being one of the first things I built with you, and we made it out of 2x4s, and we half-lapped the joints.
Yep.
And it's got particle board in it, but it's held strong.
And it's still together,
yeah.
So that's a good thing.
It holds the CNC now.
But my memory of Andy and his interest, really piquing his interest, was through college when he really kind of didn't know what he wanted to do. And we were wondering what that ultimately would be. Went off to Costa Rica one summer to do a project for his school work. And when he came home, he said, "Dad, I know what I want to do." I thought, great, he wants to work for ESPN or something like that as a videographer or editing film. He said, "I want to be a woodworker. I want to make furniture."
Yeah.
And
I was surprised at how well you took that.
well,
After
yeah,
4 years of college.
it was nice to know, but I wish I'd known that before
Yeah.
we paid for Baylor.
That's a lesson
that's
to
all
the,
right.
to the young folks that listen. You don't have to go to college. You can. It's hard to know what you want to do, but there's a lot of good jobs out there. So.
Absolutely. In fact, I read somewhere not too long ago that an economist was making analysis of the cost effectiveness of a college education, and really surprising how ineffective in terms of long-term financial gain a college education is, unless you're going into one of the professions or something that
Yeah.
really requires a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
So he wanted to go off to a nice woodworking school. In fact, I think the first one you wanted to go off to was in Scotland.
I remember.
recall
I was
right.
in school when I found that one, and I was somewhere. It was England or Scotland. I forget the name of it now. And then I wanted to go to Maine for the Center of Furniture Craftsmanship, but I don't blame you for not sending me there.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
After
I'm glad you didn't.
after all that time at Baylor, I thought enough's enough.
Yeah.
My pocketbook can't take any more.
Yeah.
So what we did do is we went to a school of woodworking in Elmont. And you may
Yeah.
know,
Homestead
you
Heritage.
may remember that.
I've talked a little bit about that.
Uh-huh.
Paul Sellers was the teacher then, and many of you may know he has a YouTube channel as well, but he was in Texas, the head teacher there, and that was really, those classes were really what got me fired up about it.
Yeah, that was
Hand
all hand
tools,
tool work.
yeah.
Yeah. In fact, you took more than I did. I took just the foundation course, but you
Yeah,
took
it's-
several of them.
The first one we did together, and then after that I ended up kind of hijacking all your tools.
Yeah, in a garage.
Yeah, and I took his garage and I worked in their garage. I think from there I went to Kentucky for a while. That was with Brian Boggs, and then went up to Waco, Texas, and tried to get started there. That was around 2008, and it did not go very well. But I was very lucky that you let me take all your tools, because I didn't have much.
Well, I cleared out my garage.
Yeah.
Yes, I still had my hand tools, but
Anytime you wanted to build furniture, you had to come to Waco to the shop.
you still got the old bandsaw that you still use. I think that's
Grizzly
the only power tool that you still
One,
have.
and the drill press was.
The drill press,
yeah.
that's right. The ones that I bought.
I've moved on
long
to
ago.
bigger equipment since
Yeah.
then, but
Well, and you worked in your garage in Bernie
I
for
did.
a couple of years, and that was smaller than my
I
garage.
started in our garage with a table saw and the joiner planer, the same one I still have, and then moved to a little 800 square foot shop, and then we got this place.
Yeah.
So
Well, you've
full
got-
circle. Now you're retired and
Now I'm the apprentice.
you work for me for
I don't
free.
get paid though.
Yeah.
We still joke that I get up and go to work every morning. I just don't get paid for it.
Maybe I should start paying you. I don't know.
But it's fun, you know.
Yeah.
There's not much of anything better in life than just working with your son.
Yeah, it goes both ways. I hope I can do it with Johnny and Judson when I get older. So let me ask you this about I did go to school and I studied film and video, so now that's kind of all panned out.
Hmm.
So you can feel good about that.
Yeah, I do feel good about that. We've accomplished
Even though
something.
I've had to relearn a lot of it.
Well, that's probably what makes your YouTube videos seem relatively
It helps a lot.
pretty
Yeah,
professionally done.
I can fall back on that education for sure. But yeah, so it really all started with this workbench and just hacking away in the garage when I was a teenager. So and here we are. I don't know how many years later. So it's been fun.
I look back at some of the stuff that you made and we made to start with. It's pretty rough.
It was. Oh yeah. It was basically 2x4s and a Craig jig
Yeah.
and a few joints. And I didn't know what I was doing. You had a better idea of things and the joinery and all that. But other than that, I just wanted to cut up 2x4s and put them together.
Yeah, we put things together with pocket screws, and we
Yeah.
made a few mortise and tenon joints, and tried to make dovetail joints.
Couldn't do it. Yeah.
Now you can make a good dovetail joint. Mine are still
You got
Pretty
pretty good
sloppy.
ones. You got pretty good ones. Well, I hope that you guys have enjoyed that. You'll probably be seeing more of my dad, Don, in the shop, hanging out in videos, because he's just going to be around. Okay, so before I shut it down real quick, I want to say thanks to Justin from The Good of the Land. He is a fellow Texas YouTuber. He actually helped set me up with the deal with Mr. Cool. He is building a shop right now